thank you so much for joining today. We're going to start with some breath work, and you can go face up or face down. We'll take about a minute to just relax the nervous system and think about the movement improvement ahead. This is Grow Your Strength class, and this is the first week of a new program I have. It's taking some time to align your posture. Micro adjust anything in your neck or in your shoulders, in your back. Just focus on some slow, deep breathing. In and out through your nose if you can. After your next breath cycle, we'll take it into a half kneeling position. Taking some time to level out the hips on one knee. You can take your front foot out a little bit wider so you've got a good base of support. You can level the hips, hip to armpit way, and then also front and back way so that you feel like your rib cage is stacked over your pelvis. From this position today, we're going to go into some cross arm rotations. So from the hips up, keeping that in mind, rotate and turn and look over one shoulder. Come back to center. You can take a deep breath and exhale and rotate the other way. We'll go 2 times each way with our arms crossed and 2 times with the arms overhead. Just working on the rotation and the posture improvement through your upper back and neck. No need to force anything. Arms overhead, you can spread your fingers. Again, take that breath and follow the rotation on your exhale. And then we'll take some time to switch knees. Level out the hips. Stack the posture. Crossing the arms. And the same thing, 2 each way. Keeping those hips square to the wall in front of you. Having a glance behind you. Arms overhead, spread those fingers. Frog rocks are next, so we'll take it down to hands and knees. Take the knees a little wider than the hips, and just start to sit your hips back towards your feet, and then rock forward and gently weight shift into your hands. Be mindful that you're not putting the pressure just on the base of your wrists. You spread your hands and come forward and kind of lengthen all your fingers. Make sure you're not tenting through your knuckles, so palms are flat to the ground. You can do some add-ons to the frog rocks where we start with taking the hips back and over to the right. And then swing forward into the hands again and back and over to the left. We'll do that a few times. Wake up those inner thighs. And then bringing the hips back to center. Now slowly turn and look over your shoulder, being curious with your eyes. Take your time, gently mobilize your neck. Refocus on a few more deep breaths in and out. We're going to transition from here to lying on our back in a bridge position. If you have a stretchy band and or a dowel, that would be handy because we're going to use that for a few different things. I'm going to use a dowel for the first one, which is the overhead shoulder passes. So just taking the dowel, palms facing my feet, I've adjusted my back position. So I don't have a big curve in my back. My pelvis feels fairly level. That's going to allow the dowel to ease my arms overhead. Trying to get the back of the hands and arms on the floor. Then bring it all the way back over to your hips. And you can adjust the width. Wider is generally easier. But just make sure that when you go overhead, you don't feel a sensation of arching your back or adjusting your neck to try and get that range of motion. Just kind of meet yourself with where you're at. You need to go wider, go wider. And if you can, bring your hands narrower. This is helpful for lots of things that we do in the overhead position. Okay, and after your next pass, we'll switch this up for a stretchy band if you want to do that for your knee bends. I have a band that has loops in it. You can use just a regular stretchy band and just put the middle of the band over your foot. In this position, we'll start with some knee flexion and extension. Lying on your back with your non-working leg bent is a little easier on the back, but over time, it would be good to at least try to do some of this work with your non-working leg extended out. Pushing your heel to the roof. Take some time to extend through the leg, and if you have to back that off to get some length and extension through the back of the knee, then do. Holding the leg out, 3 to 5 of these moves, just depending on your speed and how it feels. But this is your flexion extension, opening the toes. Go 3 to 5 moves, slowly finding your end range, and then pick it up and go faster. Keep the toes towards the shin and start to roll the sole of the foot in and out. Finding that end range again. Slow and fast. And then try the same move with your toes pointed to the roof. So you're swinging the sole of the foot in and out. I feel the stretch right through the front side of my ankle with that one. Toes pointed to the roof. And then finish with some circles. Trying to keep the legs still is the challenge. Circles each way. Pick up the speed and then slow it down, go the other way, and pick it up. Nice job. Okay, so great work on the ankle. We'll switch sides. So readjust the posture, going into the knee flexion and extension first. Aligning the neck and the back, hips. Nice deep breathing. Holding the leg out and going through the same routine. Point and flex. The ankle, toes are spread. Slow and fast. toes to the shin. Roll the sole of the foot in and out. Slow and fast. Toes pointed. I think there's a lot of value in having a regular routine for your ankles. Ankle mobility is important for balance and for walking speed. So important, the foundation of our posture. So finish with the circles. I'm going to take us into a flow of bridging. So we'll start with 2 double bridges. So you set your feet up, hip width apart, extending the hips up to the roof, tightening up the hip muscles. And after you've done 2 bridges, take a moment to take 1 foot off the floor. Set yourself up for a single leg bridge, 2 on each side. So the switching between the left and the right foot, be mindful you're not just moving that base foot close to center to make it easier. Oops, I think I did 3. Okay, so the sequence is 2 doubles and 2 singles. And see how I just take my foot off and then I set myself to come up nice and strong through that right leg, hip, and then switch the feet and bring up. So often I find if people are new to this, they come up and they're like, and they smidge this foot closer to center. So try not to do that. I'll just go through that sequence one more time. So 2 doubles, 2 singles. The next exercise is the reverse tabletop position, and then we're going to do some pretend crawling from here. So I just pull my knees into my chest and rock a little side to side to iron out the back and set my core. In reverse tabletop, to start with, the knees are floating over the hips and the hands over the shoulders. And what I'd like you to start to do is then now flex the feet and hands. So it's like you're crawling on the floor, but you're not, you're crawling in the air. And just a very small reciprocal pattern where you're moving your opposite arm and leg on, like crawling. Once you get the pattern going, see if you can gently start some head rolls with it. So your head rolls to the side, your hand is going forward. And this can be quite challenging when it's fatiguing through the core. So once you feel like, okay, that's enough work, then just pull your knees in, give yourself a little roll again. I always like to remind students that you don't need to have the hardest core exercise to get a stronger core. In fact, you never want to put yourself beyond the edge of your ability. So even if it's just a small amount of movement here, but you're in control of holding your posture so your back isn't arching, your neck is relaxed, right? And you're still breathing, you're not holding your breath. That'd be a sign that it's a little too hard. This is going to build your core in a very safe way, and done consistently, this is the kind of thing that's going to get you a stronger core. Okay, third exercise in the set is Sheila's favorite exercise, the get up. Now, in the past, we did the get up roll to the elbow, and now I'm going to add a bridge from that position. So last program, we set up right arm up, right knee bent, aligning the core, rolling to the elbow, making sure you're not in a shrug position. So here's a shrug and here's a nice connected shoulder. From here, gently press up and then come back down and then roll back down. So we're going to try to do that 3 times on each side. So you have to connect, take a breath, easy roll to the elbow. I'm anchoring into my foot and my elbow and shoulder, and I just lift my hips up and down. That's it, Heather. Looks good. And then back down. So we're adding on a low bridge from the elbow. And then switching sides. Okay, so it's always the same knee bent as the arm that's up. You want to take some time to level out your hips. Take a roll to the elbow. Make sure you're not shrugged. Come up, down, roll back down. Should feel easy on the neck. This is not a upward motion. It's a rolling motion. That elbow doesn't feel quite right. Just pull it in and adjust it so it's right under your shoulder. And back down. Good. Okay, we'll go through these one more time. So starting with the bridges, we'll go through 3 cycles. And a cycle consists of 2 double bridges and 2 single. On any given day, if the single leg bridge didn't feel right for your body, for your hip, for your back, then you could take it into just 6 single or double bridges and just keep the singles out. So listen to your body, what your body's telling you, and just modify the exercises on that day. Okay, second exercise. We set ourselves up for a reverse tabletop. Flex the hands and feet and started to do some crawling within the edge of our ability, gently rolling the head to the left and to the right, maintaining some good deep breathing. If you feel like you can go a little wider or maybe a little further out without losing that control, then try it. When you need a break, you bring the knees in and just rest. One more time through. Try a little wider. If you feel any clicking or anything in your hip that doesn't feel right, make the movement smaller. Add that deep breathing in and out through your nose. Another rest. And we're setting up for those get-ups with the bridge from the elbow. So, easy roll. If this didn't feel good on your shoulder to lift up, you could just be really solid and hold there for a breath cycle. Or press into the elbow and foot and lift up. Come back down. Slowly roll back down to the floor. Try up to 3 per side. Just a short hold. Excellent. Nice work there, Heather. Down. Great way to get shoulder strength. Excellent. Okay, switching sides. And after you finish 3 of these, we're going to go to hands and knees. Let's work on a little cat-cow or a little flexion extension at the back before we come to standing. So taking some time to spread the fingers. I have my hands and my knees just a little wider than my shoulders and hips. I start to round back up into flexion and then drop the front side down into extension. In this program, one of the add-ons we can do in flexion would be to tuck the toes. So as I round my back up, I've tucked my back toes and I'm kind of just pushing through my toes and through my hands. It's a little different response And then relax the feet. Slowly articulate through your back, dropping the chest, pulling the shoulder blades together, looking up. Tap the toes, slowly round the back through each section. Letting the head be heavy and pushing the floor away. Relax the feet. Let's go through one more cycle. Motion is lotion, so nice movement through your whole back. Nice. Okay, so we're going to take it from here to standing. Grab a sip of water if you need to. We'll go first through some body weight squats with an overhead reach. So just body weight squat down and reach up. We'll do 5 of these. I'm just going to adjust the camera a little bit to bring it up. Spread those fingers. Reach. Okay, now I've programmed a one-sided squat and press. So you want to take a weight that you feel you can control comfortably overhead. And I'm looking for a 5-rep range. If your shoulder doesn't feel good with weight, then just use body weight, continue to go. So it's 5, and then we'll switch the weight to the other side. Now, I've got my palm kind of facing my shoulder, a little snug in there. So I do my squat, that's nice and even. Then I stop, then I press overhead. Pull it back, and squat, stop, press, stop. Perfect. 5 of these. I think this is rep 3. One thing, when I'm doing coaching, I've noticed that I can be quite a bad counter. Maybe even when I'm not coaching. Okay, here we go. Good reps, that's all that matters. Switching sides. How does it feel side to side? Listen to your body. Don't push through any pain. Try to make our muscles more metabolically active with resistance training. This is a great compound exercise because it's super fun. Okay, the second exercise is a plank hold, a push-up, or a combination of that. Now, some people might want to try doing this in an elevated surface so you can get some more repetitions in. So depending on what you'd like to do, you could come over to a wall or a piece of furniture, hold a plank position, and pull yourself in, push away. The nice thing about doing it off an elevated surface is you can really feel your shoulders. You're not getting the 55% of the body weight that we get on the floor. And you can get some sort of good training of the movement pattern for a push-up. Okay, so it's a continuum of practice from elevated, maybe slightly lower, plank holds on the floor, plank lowers to a cushion, or just to the floor, and then trying some push-ups. Those look great, Heather. Now let's go through the squat and press again. And if you wanted to make this move what I would call long cycle a little harder, you could take the stop out of it. So this is a way of going through the squat and press and squat and press. This is a little harder, right? Because you're not getting that stop. You have to feel confident in both the moves. Gets the heart rate up a bit more. So always feel free to adjust the reps up or down. And feel my breathing rate Go up a little with that. And switching. Long cycle, squat and overhead press. Wonderful. Back to the push-ups. Okay, did you choose the elevated surface? I'll demonstrate on the floor some of those other versions that I was talking about. So here's your high arm plank, perhaps a mini push-up, or just a controlled lower to the floor, as graceful as possible. Or when you get stronger, working on the full push-up, keeping your back stable, tightening up your hips a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to move on to bent over row. If you have two dumbbells that you could use in a bent over row, this would work. You sit your hips back, make sure your back stays neutral, and bring the elbows up to the side, squeezing the shoulder blades together. You want to go up to 10 reps. Make sure you are staying out of your neck. Finishing the elbows at the sides, or just above the sides, should be enough to get some retraction of your shoulder blades. Nice deep breathing. After the bent over row, we're going into a static lunge. I'll demonstrate this without weights, and then I'll go with weight. So a static lunge, we step back and we're going up and down 6 times in this program. Okay, so how much you allow your front knee to go forward is up to you. This is generally a bit more knee friendly where the knee stays over the foot, but you can add a little bit of knee forward if you want to. The other thing we're looking for is that the front knee doesn't track in. So aim that knee to glide right over the midfoot. I'll just do 3 so I can catch up with Heather. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so up to 6 of those. Weights can go down. The next exercise is a split stance extension reach. So what I do here is I take my arms right back, and then I'm going to reach my fingers to the roof, lift my heels if I can, and then come and sweep back down. 3 full extension reaches. Lift those heels up, use your lower legs to balance, feel your toes. After 3, you'll switch the front foot. Get those shoulders as open as possible. Switching the front foot. Reach back. Arms go right back. Find your range of motion. Look up. Get a little extension through your neck. Wonderful. Super. Okay. So I'm going to go back through these exercises, starting with the row. I'm going to turn my mat so I can do the lunges and watch. But the row was the bent over position. Elbows to the sides, back's nice and neutral. Should not be feeling this in your low back. If you do, stand up and reset your hinge. Maybe don't go quite as far over. Nice deep breathing. Working those shoulder blade muscles. All the little postural muscles in the back of between the shoulder blades and upper back. Stay out of your neck. Not shrugging. Good. Ooh, okay, and then right into your lunge position. Challenging that front knee a little if you want to. Tracking the knee over the midfoot. If you want to add breath, you could inhale on the way down, exhale up, connect with your toes. Cool. That's great. 3 extension reaches, and then switch the front foot. Lift the heels, look up, open those shoulders. Seems like I've been reading a lot of information on toe strength and relationship to balance, having mobile toes, good spacing between your toes. Toe spacers are getting popular, as they should. I'm a big fan. Help my feet a lot. It's worth exploring if you have any foot issues. Okay, now let's move on to the last set and see how we do for timing. Standing hip hinge, either body weight or weighted. So here's your hip hinge. Hips go back, back is neutral. Inhale as the hips go back, exhale as you stand up. Now this is the prime of a deadlift or a weighted hinge. I'll show you with a kettlebell and I'll show you with the 2 dumbbells. So here's a kettlebell in the center. Inhale back, exhale up. So I'm just moving the same way, but I'm now pulling some load up as I bring myself up. Atta girl, you got it, Heather. Inhale back, exhale up. Just take a moment at the top to tighten up your hip muscles a little. And strong inhale, exhale up. So we'll do up to 10 of those. If you don't have a kettlebell, you could do with 2 dumbbells. Inhale, exhale. Only go as far back as you can control your back. Second exercise, we're going to take a weight or a kettlebell and do a standing halo. So the feet are side by side, the weight comes to the chest, and yeah, you can turn the kettlebell bottoms up. Take some time to bring it around and back to your center point. Switch directions, we'll do about 3 each way. I was having a discussion with someone yesterday about how this didn't really feel like much. And without the weight, I'll just demonstrate that if you bring the weight back and you arch back, that would be wrong. But if you bring the weight back and you don't arch back, you can sort of sense that the core muscles are working. Then when you bring the weight to the side and you don't go here, the core muscles are working to keep you that way. So until you take a weight that you can control, but that you actually feel like you're working as you go around, right? You probably won't feel like this exercise is much more than a mobility drill for your shoulders. But once you start to add load, it'll increase that feeling of work. Third exercise is the bicep curls. So having 2 weights that you can curl up from a standing position. I'm going to have my palms facing my thighs here, and I'm going to turn my palms towards my shoulders at the top. So I'm doing a version of a hammer curl. A hammer curl, I might just keep my palms facing the whole time. But I like this version where you come up, squeeze, extend down, up, squeeze. Now rep range for this, 10 or 12 reps, depending on how hard it is, whether you're maintaining your posture and your breath, all those things that we look for with other exercises. After your reps there, we'll do 10 drop squats. So I'm putting the weights down and I'm just coming down into a dropping position, catching myself. If your knees are tender and you feel like a drop squat won't work for you, try this. Just getting the movement through the tendons and ligaments, a little elasticity in your knees. Drop and catch, also super healthy. Want to be looking for the fact that when you drop, you don't have any inward knee movement. So think about dropping hips down and knees wide. After 10 of these, we'll pick up those weights that you did the bicep curls with and go into some tricep extensions. So again, a slight hinge position. Stand those elbows and punch your wrist back. Be mindful that you're not shrugging or stabilizing through your neck. So your head should be ease. Just check with a little left and right movement, but then find a neutral neck. Extending back, you could connect with your feet as you extend back. Breathe in, exhale, extend back, connect with your feet. If you wanted to get technical and add those little nuances, I think that would be worthy of growing your strength. Whew, okay, so back through this last set, we'll go to the weighted hinge. So finding a kettlebell or some dumbbells to do up to 10 hinges. Connecting with my feet. Inhaling as my hips go back, nice and neutral. Stand up, tighten up the hips. Here we go. It's great, Heather. I'm going to change my weight to something a little heavier for the halo. Working the core, loading the shoulders, looking straight ahead, breathing. 3 circles each way. Returning to that start position. Excellent. Bicep curls are next. What weight did you use? How did that feel? Up to 10 reps. Squeeze. Count your reps and match them when we get to the tricep extensions. A little harder. Good quality reps, still breathing. We're good. Drop squats or knee bounces. 10 of these. And we finish with the tricep extensions. Like hinge position, neutral neck. Take your time, work both sides equally. I want to thank you for building a stronger version of yourself with me today, and Heather. As I mentioned, this is a new program. We got through 2 sets of some things next week. I hope to bump that up to 3, so we'll have a build over the next 6 weeks. I'll send out and a copy of the grid program so that it starts to makes sense what we're doing and how you build. Okay, you can always jot down the weights that you're using and just how you're feeling on that day. I think this is an important learning piece. So thanks for building a stronger version of yourself, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, Heather.
Bye-bye.
All the best. You did great today. Good luck with your reno. Bye, hon.